Hello everyone, this is the continuation of lectures from before. So Satya is a professional in psychology field. He's a family psychologist. He's humorous. So what he does is, obviously he studies psychology, and he studies also the science of our human bodies, the hormones, as well as ancient writings on relationships. So it's not just one field. It's like a lot of them, and then you take all this knowledge and you put it into these lectures to teach us how to live better, happier lives. Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's start our serious event. Just to remind on previous, to summarize what we were talking about before. We are going to talk about men, women, chemistry, stress, and all that. So what we were talking about previously. So I did my best last time to push the idea of men and women being very different creatures and tied that to chemical elements in our body. And we've concluded that men and women produce in general same hormones, but in a different balance for different reasons and purposes. Yeah? So this is the biological situation in general. I also insisted that family happiness is to help other family members relieve their stress. And for that, obviously, it's best to know these things, because you can easily help them to do so. And if we can help our partners produce hormones they need, the life will become very, very happy. Conclusion was that the most important, not the only, but the most important hormone for men to relieve stress is testosterone, and for women is oxytocin, right? And they can be produced in different ways. When a man is in stress, he should undertake activities that help them relieve stress and obtain testosterone, meaning that he can go and achieve something, set targets, all of that stuff. And respectively, if he has a lot of failures and he didn't achieve anything, then he'll be very stressed and will not be able to relieve his stress. Yeah? And for women it doesn't work. Testosterone doesn't do anything bad to her, but also doesn't do anything really. Also, women produce 25 times less testosterone, except for the fact that now is about equal due to our environment and psychological environment that we work in. But in general, it's like that for these biological reasons. So she produces it, but it has no effect on her stress because she needs oxytocin. Of course, there are situations when women also need testosterone because the right balance for women to be 80% feminine and 20% masculine, and it's opposite for men. So we all need those kind of hormones. That's why both of our bodies produce those hormones. And last time we've come to a title, The True Price Women Pay for Their Stress. And this is where we're going to continue today. When a man is in stress, his reaction is run or fight. So if there is an opportunity to stand up for himself, he will. And if not, he will sneak away somewhere. With women, it's a different story. They're looking for social contact and care about somebody or themselves, right? Better if they are taking care of themselves, but most of the time they are starting to take care about somebody. And if the balance of taking care of someone else and not for herself is tipped towards someone else, a woman becomes more stressed because it doesn't really help her. She needs to take care of others the same or little bit less than of herself. And also she must take care of them not more than they are taking care of her. That's the balance. So in order to give energy to other people, woman needs to accumulate that energy first, like in a car accumulator, you know, the car battery. If the generator generates enough energy to power charge the battery, then the battery can give energy, and if not, the accumulator cannot give energy forever. And at some point, the lights will be off, and often women in this situation go into some sort of depression. It's not a good story for them. So why do women take care of others more than of themselves? Why?
Why? Because we've been engineered. We've been told that that's what we have to do.
Engineered. I like that word.
Maybe not engineered.
But I like it.
Over the last, when did it start? Really? Over time. It's been.
And you won't believe it, but that's exactly what Satya says. Yeah, that we've been engineered. Who knows? It's crazy, but it's social preconditioning. Engineered, such a good word. Oh my God.
No, maybe that's not the right word.
But I think it is. It is a schooling system. What your grandma told you, your mother. It's like this baggage that keeps passing. Yeah. So we know the answer, and it's not very, very relevant to today's lecture, so we won't go too deep into it. It's some processes in the brain of women that support this, and also the social conditioning, right? But most of it, I think, not me, it's not my lecture, but most of it is, of course, what's happening in our brain. There is no point really investigating today for why it is happening, but even judging by that this is a global phenomenon across different cultures, different languages, different social systems, and it's still happening. So it must be the common denominator due to biological reasons, right? With all that, it is noted when a woman wants to get something, she starts doing it. It's like even with our girlfriends, right? We start doing something to them, expecting that they will return to us the same kind of things, or like do the same things to us. It's very Christian to do this, to treat other people the way you want to be treated. But it doesn't work with men. I like your giggle. If we take the average woman, like average, not too smart, not too ambitious, just average woman, raised in average society conditions. She doesn't really know how to ask for help or to ask for what she needs, right? Like she'll be walking with her husband, they went for a walk, and she starts to feel hungry. And she'll be like, "Hey John, are you hungry yet?" And he'll be like, "No." It's like, damn it, I have to wait till home now. Instead of just saying, "Hey, I'm hungry, can we just go somewhere and have pizza?" So we can agree that women are a little bit nervous all the time, right? They're like in fear, that cannot just ask, what if I get no, or what if I get rejection? There's just some underlying fear.
Some,
yeah,
I suppose. Maybe women are not that good at asking for what they want, but not all women.
Yes, of course, not all, of course, but most. We can agree, women have more of some underlying constant anxiety. Men are not like that, they calm, mostly. We're not generalizing, but most of them are. They're like, I don't care about how I look. They always look in the mirror and I'm a pretty guy, like I'm the most handsome. That's how they are. Right? So men are not like that. You really need to terrorize men to make him like that he would be scared to say, "Hey, can we pop in somewhere? I'm hungry." But women are, in general. Not me, not you. But I know a lot of women who would never say what they really want. And that's the reason women in general start asking, "Do you want that?" And then in hope that the person says, "Yes, I do as well," and that reflects in everything. So if a woman doesn't have enough tenderness in her life or attention, she does what? She starts giving it. Instead of waiting to receive it, she starts giving it.
Okay.
Yeah, even in sex. So she starts doing what she wants to be done to her, and man is like, oh, well, if she likes doing it. And 10 years later, I really want you to kiss my heel. Why you never kiss my heel? I always do kiss your heel. And he's like, yeah? Was I supposed to? Like, I've done it for 10 years for you. Well, just say it on day one. Honey, I want you to kiss my heel. I really like it. But no, she starts doing it and then expects that he will be doing the same.
Message.
Yeah, but they just don't get the message because men are very direct. We've talked about this last time. Men are very direct. There's no subtext. Yeah? You like it, you say it the way you like it. So we don't know why this phenomenon exists exactly, and maybe again there is, just like with brain activity in women, there is no point to get into it in this lecture too deep. But the fact is that it exists and causing this kind of technical difficulties. Not always, but it is very common. Yeah. So she wants care, and instead starts to care. Even from the start, man and woman start to date, and woman starts intensively invest into relationship, expecting that the man will do the same. And OMG, he's going to see what I'm doing, and he's going to start doing the same. But he doesn't. And that's because, well, I'm already living with her, I'm already sleeping with her, so what I'm doing is enough. Why would I try more or change or do something more if I already achieved what I'm doing what I'm supposed to? Mm-hmm. I don't need to do anything anymore. Because if something was not right, she would have told me, right? But she doesn't, because of that fear, underlying fear.
I mean, yeah, I think there's some truth in, maybe women are not as good at asking for what they want, not as direct as men can be. But again, could be socialization.
It's that too, it's everything. But the fact that it's happening globally, across all the cultures, it's something to do with the way brain works, some chemical processes.
Why can't it be socialization?
It's also that.
It's a mix.
But but because some cultures are completely different.
Yeah.
But it is a phenomenon that women give care when they want it across anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. Maybe only Amazons didn't give it, But then they were without men. I mean, it's different culture there. During the work outside of home, you're not gonna like this point, but I'm gonna say it anyway. During the work outside of the home, I should do a bit of intro. Satya really promotes this idea that women should not work men jobs. No, women should work what they want, only free of happy family time. I absolutely agree, personally. You might not agree, but most women work out of fear because they're scared that they won't have enough money, because they don't know another way. We're talking about happiness here. And most men like achieving, setting targets, stuff like that. Most women don't. That's just the reality of biology that we have. Of course, you can go and do any job. Nobody's restricting you. But this is the lecture about how it's affecting you internally, and all the women and men. Yeah. So during the work outside of the home, and we can agree that many women do work outside not out of their will, right? So you don't want to go to work, but you have to. And so it's very hard to produce oxytocin under those kind of jobs that we do, because if you look at most of the jobs, it's always setting targets, objectives, achieving. There is a whole list of testosterone gaining points, and this is every job. That's what it is.
Be like that. I've never worked in a job like that.
Yeah, but you are like, I've worked. Even an architect, you constantly follow deadlines. That's not very. I don't like deadlines now.
Deadlines, yeah. Yeah.
But it's all.
What was the other thing you said? Targets. I've never had targets really.
Yeah. Well, I did so, and many women do. We don't choose.
Many men do.
Yeah, but for them it's okay. For them it's okay. It's good for their testosterone. But for women it's not doing anything.
Okay.
So it's a system, you know, because, hold on, we'll get. So this is exactly what we were talking about in the car, yeah? So the reasons why women go to work is maybe she's got not enough money, maybe she's scared the husband will leave. There's a lot of, even sometimes the husbands never force them to work. They say, don't work, stay home, be happy. But they listen to all these frogs around, you know, like, you must work, but if he dies, but if he goes to somewhere else. From me, I want to add, why do you have these frogs around you? Usually, the reasons that women are forced to work, it's like live or die reason, you know, you need, oh, it's a mosquito. Yeah, you need to work because otherwise your family will go hungry, and maybe some time ago you would have chosen different lifestyle, but you started to work and then one thing after another, children are in expensive school, you have car insurance, and now you can't stop anymore and you don't want that job anymore. You're already in some managerial position where you constantly go through stress that you don't even need, wondering why am I even, like, how am I living my life, you know? And it's not really giving you anything. You don't spend time with your children, you don't spend time with your family, because for women's happiness is different than men's happiness. It's not about the achievement. Women's happiness, they don't need to be famous, they don't need to earn a lot of money. It's about the people who are close to them. Even artistic jobs, like ask any superstar, I don't know, ask Britney Spears, do you like to sing? And she'll be like, I love to sing. But do you like doing concerts all the time? No, because it's tiring. It's like concert after concert. Yeah, I'm famous and all that, but, you know, I'm pretty sure she will say, I'm freaking tired. You know, I just want to rest and I want to sing sometimes for my pleasure. Ask anyone. So doing something for yourself and something small probably will make, in general, hormone-wise, women happier than doing something on a large scale, you know, and really achieving. But this is coming from third, fourth generation of this social pressure that we had. And now it's not so easy to change that mentality, because you can't even talk to those people anymore because they died, right? And we lived through full cycle of generations now that were working. Like we had communism, we had, like, you know, all this capitalism now, and everybody's working, you know? It's hard to change, hard to even get this message across to people, that this is why people are unhappy, because of this hormone disbalance. So we understand that with women's work, and very, very, very often, right, with a rare exception, production of oxytocin is seriously disrupted, right? This is because most type of jobs force women to act in a professional way. I'm not telling anyone how to live their life. Mm-hmm. I am just explaining what the effect of the way we live, what effect it has on us. Mm-hmm. And then you can make your own conclusions, and all the people on YouTube, you know. I'm not promoting this is the way we should live, no. Mm-hmm. But it's important to understand why things are happening, right? So, what does it mean to act as a professional?
You're asking me? Oh, good dog. I have no idea.
It means things like setting targets, objectives, achieving,
Okay.
and it means having men's qualities. And for women to become feminine is actually to get rid of all that's men. Yeah? That's a deep thought, think about it sometime later. Just like write it down. It means not exercising men's qualities. Like anything that men do, you don't do, right? So, getting results, making decisions, prioritizing, is not going to help woman with her stress, right? It's only going to make her more stressed. But the essence of most jobs is like that, right? Especially if you're suddenly working. Not like, oh, I'm just going to plug some eyebrows and do some nails, but it's like you are years into career. You can't just leave. You're doing something important, you know. So a woman is forced to act professionally and responsibly, and oxytocin is not produced. It is not produced in sufficient qualities. Sorry, it is not produced in sufficient quantities. Yeah, and we've talked about a lot of these things last time. So, situations when oxytocin is produced. Okay, I'm only repeating now because it was in the last lecture. Basically, anything that gives you feeling of protection and care. Art, ability to share, safety, cleanliness and purity, teamwork, loyalty, compliments, attachment, collaboration, communication, when somebody cares for you, some sort of nice procedure, you know, beauty, care, trust, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on, but you get the picture. Okay. Nothing that you do at work, right? Usually.
Communicate?
Well, yes. Yeah, but in a nice way, not with, okay, I need this by 2 p.m. You know, like more of what we're doing now. Actually, this kind of what we're doing now, we are now producing oxytocin.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So it's not a waste of your time. And so if you take all these, it's very hard to imagine a job for a woman that's perfect for women to fit into this framework, right? But if we take, these are the testosterone producers: setting target, competition, solving problems, responsibility, danger, domination, success, effectiveness, urgency, money, results, projects, power and risk. This is the job, most jobs, right? And we understand right away that this is what most of us have at work. So all of these situations increase production of testosterone. And no one will argue that professional world is a man's world. Knowing this, you can see evidently that it's a man's world, because men came into this picture much earlier, and they created this world to their standard, to their needs, right? They created it for their nature. And it was, they didn't need to sit there, oh, what do we need for testosterone? They just felt, this is right for me. I want to achieve, and like be in constant, like little stress. It's good for them, you know? So then the world started changing, and women slowly crawled there with their elbows, sometimes with their hips. But they crawled in there, and they trying to make it better place. But yeah, it's not really working, isn't it? Not always. Not very few jobs that are suitable for women somehow. Yeah. And we are not here to judge women at all. We're here to discuss them, but not to judge. This is life. Yeah, we've been forced to do it. We're only women. We're talking about women who are obligated to work instead of choosing it. And we know most women are obligated to work, right? Just to remind, testosterone doesn't really do anything bad for woman's body, but also doesn't help her relieve stress. And stress relief is what we're talking about. So in this kind of scenery that women are always stressed and have to work, basic woman duties that should come naturally to her, like taking care of children, or I don't know, taking care of her family, they become a burden. They become very stressful, another stressful thing to do. And so the stress only strengthens. So, and the problem with this, that you get a lot of judgment for ideas like that. Next point of lecture, he knew we will have this conversation at this point, is that now we are both partners. It used to be there was a man and there was a woman, exactly that stuff we were talking about. And now people don't understand their roles. Everyone is a partner. And it's like we take turns cooking. I'm on even date, you are on uneven date. Second child you give birth to, not me. So I'm responsible for giving birth to girls in our family, and you are to the boys. You know, that's fair. But that would be fair. Does it happen? No. So instead we both work equally, but then all of these house duties still fall on a woman. So women is more stressed because of that, you know. That's why it's so important to know these things, how to release the stress, how to not take job that is not enjoyable for you, so you don't get yourself worse. So men still live a bit in their past, even anciently, because they used to lie on the couch before, even the time when there was no couches, because what if there is war and I'm not rested? Yeah? And now they still subconsciously learn to lie on the couch. Completely, perfectly normal for men to lie on the couch, because that's how they restore all this muscle activity they had. So they get testosterone at work and their muscles are like, whew, and now they need to restore the balance. For women it doesn't work that way, because women just don't restore in that way. And men come home, why? To relax. But women don't. Women work at home, right? So now it's like women take double jobs, at work and at home. No wonder that you don't want to do anything and everybody is stressed, right? Because it's a double load, very often. It's not, again, we're not generalizing, but very often, right? Can a woman not feel support from her loved ones? Yes. Or can they not show her enough gratitude? Because it's also important for women to be appreciated, yeah? And if you try to tell women compliments and let's say her nice words and like at least compensate somehow, right? It might help, but very often it splashes onto women. You're a woman, you must do this because you have boobs, okay? So you must, it is all your responsibility. We're not talking probably about more civilized countries, but like, not civilized, how do I say? More first world countries, right? You cannot do that to women anymore, but most of world doesn't live according to the standards, and a lot of this bad stuff splashes onto women. So of course they are stressed up to the rafters, you know? And she will start losing interest to all this family, happy life very quickly. Because, so coming back to the point of measuring, so I want to actually bring back the point that you said about how do you measure all of this. We're living in a very materialistic society, and this is a quite new thing. Okay, this is only the last 100 years, and now everything is measured. Your success is measured by what you earn. And to be fair, I want to add from me, not from Satya, myself, I consider myself a very successful person, even though I barely have, like I'm not wealthy, because I never measured my success in money. But I don't know many people who say the same, right? And so anyone who looks at me, she has nothing, like, you know, but I actually consider myself very rich. But this is not the situation in the world, and that's why many people will say, this man earned this much. You can tell this is tangible proof. But when you look at the woman, like, so what? You gave birth to 4 children. It's like nothing, not achievement. And it's very oppressing for women, you know, that you do all this stuff for your family, but because that kind of success, if you have a nice family, is not measured in anything, that is the problem of society. We need to change this mindset. And because strangely women cannot say, well, you earned something, so what? Anyone can do that. You know, for some reason it doesn't work that way. No, we need to start give more value to intangible things that you can't really measure, and then it will contribute towards the balance in our bodies, in our psychology, and in our families. It will show gratitude to each other for what we're doing. Because actually initially men were working outside and women were working inside, right? And it was some sort of balance. I disagree, of course, that women should not go out or should not work, but it was not that bad as they describe. And I think what they describe now, women were oppressed, they could never do anything. I don't think that's true. Women used to sing all the time, and they used to do activities together, all these things that bring them oxytocin. They did house duty and did those collaborative artistic things together as well. Maybe not everywhere absolutely, but most of the situation it was like that. But it's presented to us as if it wasn't like that, as if women were unhappy staying home and were never allowed to do anything, you know. So it's very, I would dig into that historically, what is truth that's told to us and what is not, because it functioned for thousands of years, and then suddenly in the last 100 years something flipped, and somehow everyone is unhappy. Have we arrived to more happiness? Very good question, right? That was from me, not from Satya. This is not my lecture, sorry. Or in another situation, maybe her man is even supporting her, yeah, right? She doesn't want to work, my man is supporting her, but she has these people around her from society keep telling her that she needs to work. It's like, oh, he's going to die. And what if something happens? And women like start preparing for husband's death, right? Well, it's true, essentially, that's what it is. So what if something happens to him and I'm alone and I'm without career? Who am I? Because everything is measured materialistically. Get rid of frogs in your life. Don't let people tell you things like that. You know? Also, what might happen to a woman at home is that she might get a sense of isolation, especially if you work in woman, you don't know any other way. You don't actually know how to develop oxytocin and all those ways. And then you get stuck at home with your child. You don't know what to do with your time. And for a good child upbringing, you need 5.5 years. I will not go in detail now. Please refer to previous lecture. But 5.5 years, you're at home. And if you don't know how to self-develop, how to bring happiness into your life, you're in trouble. You'll feel stuck. Because you will feel isolated a lot. You know, worse than in COVID. Because it's much longer. So that will happen if woman cannot fill her life with oxytocin. Also, if a woman complains she's not getting enough support, she needs to talk about her problems, then of course it doesn't mean that she doesn't appreciate her man. It just means that she doesn't know how to be happy on her own. Also a big problem in our society. Because what we have pressure with, like that one thing, you might be happy with everything, but you have that one thing, basic need that's not covered, is pressuring you even more than everything else. Satya gives this example, not me, him. So if you have one basic need that is not closed, you will get irritated by it the most. So that thing will really make you tense. For example, you have husband, he's a good husband, he's earning money, you're not working, you're only doing your art things, like you enjoying your life, and I don't know, you have a lot of sneakers in your wardrobe, right? But you have absolutely no occasion to talk to anyone. That will bug you, you know? It's like Satya's example. If you need to poo, but somebody says, you have 6 pizzas in your fridge, take that instead. You cannot do that. No, I need to poo. I don't need your 6 pizzas and ice cream and full fridge, whatever, because I didn't cover this basic need, something that I need to let out. Not my example, his example, okay? But good example, I think, yeah? Oh, by the way, I want to talk about this bucket thing. So, you know how friendship between women works? In general, Satya example, and I really like it because it shows a lot. So each woman has her own bucket of shit. But this is about friendship, about women. Yeah? And so as long as 2 women communicate and splash at each other equal bucket, then the friendship works. Because we just need to let something out, take something in, communicate, then have fun, communicate. But as long as the buckets are equal, the friendship will work. As soon as the balance tips over, it breaks, it starts breaking. As long as it's like, if it's constantly like that, then the balance will be tipped off, and one woman will say, no, this is too much for me, and that's just the way it works. So I like that thing. But it also, this bucket thing is for everybody. If you have a bucket of something that you don't have outlet to give, you'll be struggling, even if everything else in your life is sort of good, taken care of. Well, everything cannot be always perfect because you still have a bucket. And it feels, anyway, everybody is like that, you know. So, back to it. The fridge is full, but you cannot enjoy the things. Yeah? So, oxytocin, think of it as a vitamin that you must take, like B12. It's necessary for women's body. Same as testosterone for men's body. And you can have full spectrum of vitamins in your body, but if you don't have that one, you start to feel ill somehow, mentally, physically. For women, stress always projects physically, and it will, we talked about this last time, but it will hit you in your weakest spot. Like if it's your teeth, it will be your teeth, hair might start falling out, wherever is your weakest spot. Yeah, let's move on. Men usually and wrongly assume that women expect from them problem solving. Right? It's wrong. Men can interrupt women to propose solution. Even when she talks, she lets her bucket out, right? But he interrupts her when proposes solution, or he wants to give better positioning of question. And because in men's world it's normal to interrupt and continue thought, it's a sign of that you understood each other. But in women's world is not like that. So that's where all of the miscommunication is coming from. And he's doing it because resolving the problem is his method to fight stress. So the way he solves problems is problem, boom, solution, boom, I'm handsome man. All day long he's at work, acquiring testosterone, then comes home, handsome, full to the rafters with testosterone, and all he wants to do is just lie down. That's just the way they work. And if he's not increasing his levels of testosterone, then he's just very tired and sad. Really sad to see men coming back home like not winner, let's just put it softly. And so the man thinks that this kind of methodology will help women solve her problems too and relieve stress, but no. Satya has this watch for men and women, but it's only in Russian. I'm gonna personally write to him and ask him to translate this in English, like produce this watch in English. It's a sand watch. It's a 15 to 20 minutes sand clock, and it has two sides. On one side, it's for family conflict resolution. Yeah, it's actually very interesting. I want him to translate it. It would be cool. So on one side, you have, if you need to splash a bucket on your husband, and so he doesn't resolve your problem, you go to your husband and you put this sand clock between you two. On one side, you put it towards you, and it says, be grateful, admire, appreciate, be proud, on your side. Yeah, that's you should do to men. Mm-hmm. On his side, it says, this is not your fault, you don't need to do anything. And so the sand clock goes for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm not sure it's 15 or 20. And the woman just talks. Mm-hmm. Not forgetting, like maybe she has some sort of problem, but she can mention, because it says there, but I appreciate you, I admire you, like just don't forget the main points. On his side, he just needs to listen. He doesn't need to solve.
Right, yeah.
And so I think it's a really good exercise, because you just want to help, And so I will write to him and ask him if he's going to produce this in English, because I think it will save a lot of relationship. Yeah, so do your husband duties, listen to your wife, that's all. Don't need to solve anything. She'll arrive there herself. Okay, let's move on to sex topic. How all this affects sex? This is what you've been waiting for, I'm sure. Yeah? Unlike men, majority of women under stress lose their interest in sex. Completely. So sad. So a woman in stress just doesn't want it. As for men, I don't know what kind of stress man needs to be under to completely lose interest in sex. Completely stop wanting it. He might stop wanting you, but not the sex, right? But for women, it's like, I just don't want all sex, including you. Yeah, very sad. Yeah, it means all of it. Because men's sex is physiological and women's sex is mental. So that's also the reason for different kind of orgasms, and one reaching and another one not. And even if a woman upset his man, he can somehow flip that switch and more like, you're such a bitch, take your undies off right now. But woman doesn't. Yeah, woman doesn't. You have to like really bring flowers and apologize and do the whole peacock routine, you know. Yeah. And some women say, I don't love my husband anymore. Well, look at yourself in the mirror. You look like riding horse. It's time to mount your feet. So you're not getting enough break. Yeah. Not you. I'm just...
You need to mount your feet?
Yeah, it's like for the horses, the feet. Oh. Because of course, you're so tired and stressed, you wouldn't want anything anymore. Men in stress react differently in many ways, but it doesn't affect their sex in that way. Don't know. It can not finish for a long time. It can finish really quickly, but that it just not happening? No. So when a man is in stress, men work with psychologists and sexologists just to correct the whole story. Just to correct that he finished in a way that everyone is happy. Not just him, right? But with women, you need to fix other issues. It's much more complicated. So men, I like this one. Men will completely stop wanting sex only probably if he puts out a nuclear reactor with his zhuzhulik, then he will stop wanting sex. Now, zhuzhulik is a very interesting word that I don't want to translate. I think we all understand what it is, and it's a funny word, and I think it's a perfect word. Zhuzhulik, everyone, introducing technical term into our lectures. And by the way, when a woman has high levels of testosterone, her sexuality might increase, but not in a female way. So she might want to actually gain the man, and it affects orgasms in a way that she might not get it at all. She just might not get satisfied. Although men find it, of course, oh wow, she's after me. What an interesting role plays. So yeah, hello to all dominatrix. Yeah. So it might either not happen for her, or could be another way that she can't get enough, and the man is like, "What? We just finished? No, but I want more. It's not enough for me. You know. Well, maybe we need some nuts and honey, and then we still need to wait. We cannot have it now." So it might seem cool. Wow, multiple orgasms, but in practice, not really, because it's hard to satisfy unless you are 18. It's hard to satisfy. Yeah. So be careful of high levels of testosterone. And so with all these sexual issues caused by this disbalance, people get stuck in sensation of frustration, constant frustration, because of not knowing these things. You know, whereas you could fix it in different ways, but you just don't know how. It's like, okay, society is like this, life is like this, and we hear it all the time. This is the way the world is. So we should all disagree and do what's good for us. Happy sex to you all. Yeah. And because frustration and feeling of failure, because that's what it is, you can't achieve orgasm. Feeling of failure doesn't go along very well with achieving happiness. There is another category of men. They subconsciously know subconsciously. This is really, somehow they figure it out. If you give women chocolate and alcohol, her testosterone level rises. And she starts getting like, oh, who is here? Not in the way that, it's easier to get sex from her. Not in the way that she will just fall back and like all the men around like, oh, meat. No, she'll be like, oh, I don't understand what's happening to me. I just want it. It's really interesting effect. So it causes her to have physiological desire. It's a men's scheme rather than psychological effect. Get it? Somehow. So by men's scheme means physiological. Yeah, men are physiological with sex. They can just, okay, it's sex. For women, you need to do the whole routine before. So we know this fact because this kind of behavior doesn't go with women's cycles, doesn't go with her mood, because you know about women's cycles. It's like that, and maybe today you don't want it at all, and tomorrow is ovulation, and you just want it. Well, maybe better don't go outside for some women. There are stories, and the smart man already knows when his woman is ovulating. He's already there. Hey, honey, I'm with flowers. I already took shower. And she's like, oh, you know me too well. Our cycles synchronized. Yeah. So, do you want to talk about sex compatibility?
Do I?
Yes.
You can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, it's just that it doesn't exist. Okay. Because we know, as we just said, men's sex is stable, and women is like that. So how can it be ever compatible? You will never find something that's stable. And you can try and try, but you will fail. So if, again, knowing these things makes you happier, because if you expect something that you cannot get, you might start stressing about it, or you might want to give something that you don't have energy for right now because it's not the time of your cycle. So important to know. So let's keep going about sex. Our hormones work in a different way. And our sex is a generally different procedure. And it even ends differently, right? Man is like, whoa! That's it. So the hormone shift is instant. And for women it's like, oh, I'm just speeding up. And let's hug now and hold hands. And it's different. So I guess most men just pretend that, yeah, I love you, honey. Just let's hold hands. So they do it out of love, right? It's very sweet. Yeah, and then a minute ago you were touching him there, and it was very pleasant. And now I was like, why are you touching me? I just leave it alone. I'm ticklish. So I kind of like it, but not so much right now. Yeah. So much about orgasms today. Maybe we'll move on. The funny thing is that men don't even talk about this stuff. They do maybe between each other, but I haven't heard, I talked a lot about this stuff to everybody, right? And men don't usually really talk about this stuff, and they don't like people to know that they talk about this stuff or think about this stuff. And even Satya was given example, literal example. He runs a men's club, it's called. It never has title. Just so no one thinks that a man will go for that specific topic there. The range could be from fixing automobile, like fixing a car, to orgasms. You just don't know. But women is like, oh, Satya is reading lecture on who cares? Let's just go. It must be fun. I think women are more outgoing, more like to learn. And men need to be educated. Yeah. So a woman's mind is always full of thoughts about unfinished things. It is a phenomenon, and psychologists call it woman's scroll of unfinished things. And it's hanging there and pressuring her. I have one, I'm sure you have one, and yeah, it's true. But when you know this, you can let go of some things. You can cross them out, and men in general cross things out easier. They'll be looking, well, I think this thing hasn't been done for so long, and I don't know how to do it. It's probably beyond my abilities, cross. And women will be like, how can I do it? I want to do it. But at the same time, I have to say, you might come up with some more creative decision to do something, which is what I'm doing with my project. Been thinking a long time, how can I do it? And wouldn't let go, wouldn't cross it, you know. But it's true, yeah. Men cross out things so easy in compared to women. Because women always worry, and that comes back to that thing we talked about, for care, for others. Who else is going to do it if not me? If it's not me, it's not going to be done. Oh my God, end of the world. So stress causes the feeling of melancholy, because all these things get us into stress. Yeah? Melancholy leads to exhaustion, exhaustion leads to anxiety, anxiety leads to even stronger levels of stress. And that is how a closed loop emerges, which is essentially the depression. Yeah? By stimulating, by breaking that loop occasionally and producing enough levels of oxytocin, women can regulate it and can release stress, stabilize their life, sleep better. You know, when we all know when we have anxiety, we don't sleep well, that contributes even more. But if you did something nice, you relaxed, your mind is at ease, you sleep, you wake up much better. This is the correlation. This is how you can measure. Oh, measure it by hours of sleep if you like. He probably knows how to prove it. I just don't explore that kind of lecture. Maybe I will if I find some time. But you know, I'm not even interested in proving it to anybody, not just you. It's like, I think you can see enough proof, that kind of behavioral proof, that you know life, you know people, you know yourself, you're a woman, you've been with a partner for years, you can put it against something, and it's enough to start thinking, you know, start questioning everything we do. Once a woman came to a priest and asked, "Is sex without love a sin?" And the priest said, "Everything without love is a sin. Even if you are washing dishes, right? If you're doing it without love, you will never enjoy it. It's your house duty, but you don't enjoy it. And you're doing it for your loved ones, right? You've picked them, these 3-4 people, out of all the people on earth, and you don't enjoy doing things for them. So you have to start asking yourself, what is wrong? Like, how come I don't enjoy being with them, taking care of them? Like, something is wrong, right? You can't replace everybody with washing machine or robots. It's if you pick these people, it's your family, you should be able to enjoy taking care of them. Yeah, when you ask yourself this question and done some thinking, then you will realize that changes are necessary in something, some behavioral. Why am I in stress? Where am I in stress? Am I at home in stress or at work? What is giving me this feeling of why I don't want to take care of people that I love? You know, it's actually a very sad situation. You feel like a slave, that you have to do this and that. So we need to understand what is the real reason we are tired. And today we're mostly looking at why women are tired. But sometimes we need to compare. We need to ask, like, for example, why are men tired?
Because they work a lot of hours, and
that's exactly it. Yeah, they work a lot of hours. But then men come home and they lie down. But woman doesn't. Okay? So woman does, like, we just mentioned that before, that women does do 2 jobs in most of the world, right? Because men always have this subconscious thought, what if there is war and I'm tired? I need to be rested well enough. And so they lie down and accumulate energy. But women don't do that. Actually, too much sleep might cause women to be even more tired. And I know a few women, and I used to be jealous, but then I realized it doesn't actually help them. But they could sleep like whole day, Saturday. But then they wake up still tired. Then go back to sleep and still come back to work on Monday tired. This explains it, because just lying down or sleeping will not help women. as sad as it is, women need to know that they need to do other fun things. And so this situation with sleeping and not getting enough sleep, it's because women's bodies are different from men, and this is hormones, pure science, tangible proof that you wake up and you're still tired. And nothing you can do unless you know what to do. Yeah. Paradoxically, a woman's body is twice as enduring as that of a man, because everything functions differently. This amazing discovery was made accidentally by NASA. Unlike Americans, Russians don't send that many women into space because we like them. Okay, we like them. They're nice. We're nice. But we usually have like that first one and then none. Because okay, we just show, we can do it, but then none. But anyway, when people spend 2 or more weeks into space, it's not good for them. Under 2 weeks is okay. The muscles start to atrophy. Yeah, and so before, we were talking about 30 years ago when they started sending people, there was no trainers, like any machines to work out in space, right? And so they were like, well, this is like this, or it's not. Like, can you handle it or not? And so after 2 weeks in space, some changes can already be evident. 2 weeks in under is okay. After that, you need help getting out of the ship, yeah? And so the interesting thing that women were crawling out by themselves and men couldn't. Because, and they also were able to drag men behind them. It turned out it takes much, much longer for women's muscles to become atrophic than that of a man, yeah? Because our bodies are more endurable. Women are stronger physically. They can take much more pain. They can stay longer hours up. They don't need to lie down. And men much stronger mentally. Yeah, a lot of women's problems. Lecture 1, please listen. A lot of women's problems are in their head, and that's where they can be fixed. Men have 30% more of muscles, and that's what gets tired. Right? But their muscles are depleted twice faster, because they eat a lot more energy. And to restore them, they need testosterone and rest after. So 2 things, testosterone and rest after together. Which is why men like to lie down so much after a stressful day, full of testosterone. They really need it physically. They need it. So for a woman to lie down and rest, she must be so tired that I don't know what needs to happen. I once slept 16 hours straight after my assignment at university, but I didn't sleep for like 11 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was final assessment for university. Yeah, I slept 16 hours and that time I rested, okay? But that was me catching up of 1 or 2 hours sleep every night. I was a HD student, by the way. So a woman is resting not when she's doing nothing, but when she's doing something pleasant. Yeah? Of course, sleep, adequate amount of sleep is necessary, but having more of it will not help, right? So this is where oxytocin comes into play. And it's understandable why women have hard times accepting that men just lie down, right? In all this picture, while you're lying down, I'm like spinning here like crazy and you're sleeping. And by the way, it's only working women that are upset with their men sleeping. Women who don't work, they have all the freedom. They'll be like, shh, daddy is called mammoth. Yeah, let daddy sleep. And also this question about how men don't think about anything. How can you not think about anything? How can you just relax your mind like that? Yeah, so it's unreal. Men have this room in their brain. This is from, I don't know how I know this, but they have this room in their brain. It's called nowhere, never. And women don't have that room. It's really hard for us to imagine how can you think nothing, completely nothing. It's like not possible. The brain activity of a man in relaxed state is 20 to 30%. Okay, so he's just lying down. That's all he's doing, right? And women can never understand it because our activity never absolutely never falls below 90%. It's always working. We're doomed, basically. It's very scary. A body of a woman contains 20 to 25% more of adipose tissue, fat. So what? Where is the energy storage in human body? In fat, yeah. And so it's understandable why we now understand why women have more energy, physical energy, right? And actually fat people also have more energy.
But they're storing more energy.
Yeah, because they're storing more energy,
They're
but
not necessarily releasing more energy.
it depends on circumstances. But if there is a life-death situation, survival situation, fat people will stay longer. It will be difficult for all, okay? But they have a lot more storage. And this is what happens in stress. In stress, the body flips. I need to store energy because stress is survival mode, right? And I will not go into detail. I will talk about it in another lecture. There is another psychologist talking about this specific mechanism of stress, and we'll talk about stress and how the body flips and all of that. But that's why a lot of people, not only women, like to eat so much. It's not like they like it, they can't help it. It's their instinct. I'm in stress, I'm in survival mode, I need to gain more energy. Yeah, it's always from stress. So release your stress, you'll balance your weight. Yeah? But especially women. Yeah, because this probably comes back to our world being men's world, and it's easier for men to release stress. All you need to do is find yourself high testosterone job. Yeah, whereas for women that's not the case. Yeah, but we can agree that we have a lot more stressed women, especially knowing this now, than that of men. The fat is coming from carbs, which is sweet and pastry, right? But not all people know this. A lot of people think it's from fat food. Like, I mean, it's probably not gonna do any good, but that's not how you really store your fat. Yeah. And yeah. So exhaustion of women happens not because of lack of energy, that we have plenty. It is because of lack of oxytocin. These happy things in our life that we should do and we're not doing because we don't have time, because we're working, because we just don't know we need to do it. We feel guilty. How am I gonna do something fun when I have family to feed? I need to cook for 7 people. Like all these things. You know? A lot of cortisol is produced in stress, which in turn blocks the ability to burn fat. So it's even worse. It's like a snowball, you know. And we've talked about this in the previous lecture, everybody. The body gives this stress signal and woman starts eating. Most of the food that we're eating, these carbs, the modern carbs, this thought is actually really shocking, and you don't think about it this way, but it's only available now, right? It was not available 100 years ago, and we are eating such a concentrated bad stuff, you know, that was not even available. We're not supposed to eat it at all, and we're eating it in enormous quantities. You know, no wonder we're so overwhelmed with weight and all these issues. Not supposed to eat it at all. Yeah, and even worse, we can get them anytime at all. It's scary. It's really scary. I'm so stressed, I'm gonna go have some chocolate now. And everything, actually, not only food, everything that is a surplus in our life is harmful to us. Even though sometimes it doesn't seem that way, but it's not only carbs, it's information. Yeah, too much information is bad for us, contributes to stress. Too much sex. There's a lot of thoughts throughout these lectures and probably all the lectures, but availability of sex, such freedom, is what's really ruining our society. Yeah, it's a very long conversation. I will not go into it right now, but you'll get bits and pieces here and there. So excess of sex create excess of maniacs, psychopaths, and responsible women. So the best way out of stress for women is not physical rest, but specifically to do things to help her produce oxytocin. If a man slept very well, good. But if woman, not so much. Just to conclude this group of dots. It's not hard to make men happy. Men need love as much as women. Yeah? It's just that they need it in another way. Yeah? Increase of testosterone levels and well-being of men depends on what?
Increase of testosterone, work, targets,
yes.
achievement.
You are such a good listener. Oh my God. So yeah, success in his chosen field. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Or activity, whatever he's doing. Success, some sort of one competition, all of that. Plans came to life, but probably the biggest one of all, being able to provide for your family. Yeah, it's very important. Then the man, he can be the fattest, he can be the ugliest, but he's like, I'm the most handsome. Because my family doesn't need to work, has everything, and everybody's happy, and they have future. And that's probably the biggest success. And with women, it's the same story, right? So we also want some sort of things in return. It's what? How do we measure? That's your question. How do we measure? Yeah. So, sorry, I'll just come back a bit. Woman in itself is also an achievement for men. So that's the way man's mind works. So he always works on producing testosterone, and especially in the beginning of relationship, he needs to conquer the woman. He produces testosterone to do it, but then he just moves on to another task. So that's what he can measure it against. But how can he measure in his relationship that he's successful is when a woman gives him those 4 things: admiration, pride, those 4 things. She must be grateful, Of course, if he's providing and if he's achieving, she must be grateful. Because if she's not showing it, he will just lose interest in the woman. Because why would he do anything for anyone if they don't appreciate me? It's same for women too, but for men it's important, it's in his core. Because anything he's doing, every task is based on achievement. And achievement is measured by those 4 things. For women is a bit different. She might just need a little bit of different things. Well, of course, he also wants sex and food. It's great when a woman cooks well and good in bed. Clark sort of can accommodate you as required. A man's sense of self-esteem is concentrated on what he is capable to do. Yeah? And recognition of that by his woman is very important for that. And that's the process we're describing now. Yeah? But let's just pause for a second. Does a woman also need recognition for what she's done? Right? She needs, right? Gratitude, praise. But it's not going to help her relieve her stress. That's the difference. Right? So of course, if I'm doing something for somebody and they're never grateful, I'm gonna leave the guy. I'm gonna divorce. But it's nice if they do it, but I still need to do my things, other fun things. For that I need time. So I appreciate the time he gives me, free time, right? Sometimes women are surprised why men attach such importance to their actions and achievements, and this is why. Yeah? Because it's all subconscious stuff. They just do it. They don't know why, they just do it. They like to hear it and they don't know why. It's not like I like to hear it. Why? Nobody cares why. But this is why. This also explains why women like to go to doctors so much and men don't. Yeah? A man must make sure that he has done absolutely everything that he's capable of before he asks for help. Although this works with women. As in, if he's on his own, he'll go to doctor. But in front of her, he needs to look like hero. And also, I'll tell you a secret. Men ask for directions all the time. But if there's woman next to them, they will not. They'll go and get lost till the last moment, until woman is like, I'm gonna ask for directions myself, moron, because they lost. That happened. That happened to me, to you too, yeah. But that's why. So doctors are clear, and we found directions, and that's it. That's pretty much it for today.